our instruments, marching in our common land, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the song of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance.
Hey everybody, all is well with you. It's good to be with you once again this evening, whether you're watching live or later on. Once again, Monsignor Callaghan, do you want to say hello?
Good evening. Welcome back. Good to see you again.
That's great. So things are ramping up, of course, in both parishes, just in general, and as well as with faith formation, youth group, school starting, all these kind of things. So it's wonderful to have even more life in the parishes. Once again, it's also great to see so many of you coming to church. Again, for those who feel safe and are able to do so, it's great to see many of you from a distance as well, up in the ambo and from the chair, and great to see be able to celebrate Mass with you and these kind of things. So, as always, and good evening, Charlotte, and feel free to give any comments, thoughts, questions. We're going to have a visitor with us here shortly. As far as parish news, lots happening just this time of the year in general, but really nothing too much to report besides St. Ignatius. The office will be open once again officially next week. It's been basically open behind the scenes in many ways, but we'll officially open the office at St. Ignatius with the regular office hours next week. So stay tuned for that. And beyond that, again, Bible study is ramping up here at St. Timothy's, so you can, I believe, still register for the Bible study. Lots happening. Reminder about the Wing and a Prayer event, and for that purpose,
just a second here, fellas. What can I get for you tonight? We're going to take your order. So tonight's special is we've got that Wing and a Prayer chicken dinner. You get 2 pieces of chicken, roasted chicken. You like roasted chicken, don't you, Monsignor? Okay, and we got potatoes and gravy, dressing, coleslaw, rolling butter. You got to have butter. So we can have that for you ready for tonight. And if you really like it, you can come back on October 4th and get yourself this drive-through chicken dinner. You can come over to the school. Father, you can get Monsignor in the car, go out, get yourself a nice chicken dinner, get the dust blowed off you. You guys been working too hard. Okay, so you need to come. You need to go online, see? Because we're all modern and stuff with this COVID. Everything's online. You got to go online to churchofsttimothy's.org and click on the button on the donate page. Get yourself the nice chicken dinner. Makes it so easy for the girls in the office, right? Right. You want to do that, right?
Yeah. Now, how about 3 poached eggs for tomorrow's breakfast?
3 poached eggs and burnt toast. That's what you had last time, right?
No, forget the burning.
Oh, I thought he made breakfast.
It's burnt.
Okay, that's what I thought. See, you guys, you got to come and get this chicken dinner. It'll be great. Oh, and you know what they did over at St. Timothy's? These people cracked me up. They got some guy in a chicken costume. Did you see it? It was on Facebook. Some guy in a chicken costume. You get to guess who he is when you drive in to pick up your chicken dinner. You get to cast your ballot to see who that crazy guy was in the chicken costume. You're going to get some kind of a prize. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be great.
He's still cackling.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I hope you guys enjoy your dinner. Hope you come over. Everybody go order that chicken dinner. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. See, this is kind of important. You got to remember this. You got to do it by September 27th. See, because we got to order the chicken dinners. You can't be waiting until October 3rd and thinking you can order this dinner. It's too late then. You know, you got to do it by September 27th so that we can order all the dinners that we need. Otherwise, you'll be out of luck. Okay? All right, good. So we're going to have the chicken dinner, going to have a lot of fun. You guys have a nice night.
Great, Flo.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Good night.
Great. So yeah, we're looking forward to the chicken dinner, draft chicken dinner, and should be a wonderful way to have a nice meal and a good time at chicken dinner. So,
I hope you like chicken.
Yeah.
And if not, those eggs will be ready.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. So with that, tonight we have a special visitor who is known to many of you, if not all of you. He is our teaching parish seminarian, now Deacon Andrew Rauenbuehler, so that's very exciting. He was ordained in June as a deacon. It's also very exciting for me selfishly. In addition to being happy for him, I no longer have to preach when he is here, so that's wonderful for me as well to have a little break. And he'll preach here at St. Timothy's this weekend for the first time, so looking forward to that, to hear his words of wisdom and to have a little break selfishly as well. So with that, we'll have Deacon Andrew join us here, and we'll have a chance to have a conversation with him, get to know him a little better, talk about seminary information, talk about the diaconate, and how his summer went.
There we go. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Monsignor.
Father, what have you online for Deacon Andrew at the moment?
Yeah, so maybe if you want to just start by saying, again, I think many people know who you are already, but they might have forgotten just as time goes on in terms of some of your background, some of your history. You want to share who you are, your background, what led you to the seminary, and where you are today.
Yeah, so Andrew Rauenbuehler, seminarian for the Diocese of Davenport down in Iowa. So grew up in a town called Muscatine. It's a town of about 30,000 on the Mississippi. In big Catholic family. My mom comes from a family of 13 kids. I have 4 other siblings myself. And so the faith was always pretty important to our life and to our practices. But beyond that, I mean, a really normal, typical American childhood and upbringing, sports, having fun with friends, hanging out with friends and whatnot. But always kind of, also connected with the faith and, getting to mass on Sunday and praying as a family. And luckily I have 2 cousins who are in religious life. And so one's a priest in Russia as a missionary, and then his younger sister is a missionary in Slovakia. And so kind of their experience, they're about 10 years older than me, led me to think, well, maybe God could also be calling me to a similar path in life.
So you came to Maple Lake.
And so I came to Maple Lake, and now well, actually what it did was after high school, it took me over to Rome for 2 years. And so I spent from 2009 to 2011 with this community that they were a part of, doing some formation with them outside of Rome, but then also spending some time in their mission stations in Slovakia, Kazakhstan, and other areas in Europe. And it was a beautiful time, great experience, but my heart wasn't really settled in that life. And so I came back to the US, came back to Iowa, went to school, started working at a bank, eventually was always interested in firefighting, and so started to pursue that, and was working for just under 3 years as a paramedic in Davenport, Iowa. And it was an awesome job. I really liked it. Every day was different. You never knew what you were going to come across. And so I was, I felt like I was in control of my life. Things were going well. I was happy where things were headed, and I thought, well, if firefighting doesn't work out, I liked the medical aspect, so I was thinking of potentially pursuing medicine, and I was dating and whatnot. But I was really kind of struck through a lot of encounters I had in the back of an ambulance with people of being able to help them on this physical level in their time of need, but always kind of wanting to go a little bit deeper with them as far as, seeing so much hurt and so much pain that there is in this world. And obviously a lot of that isn't really connected with, the pain of just the body, but it's, some sort of spiritual pain. And obviously that's what a priest is called to do, is it's called to meet that need and try and be that healer of people's souls, to bring them closer to God, closer to Jesus Christ. And so I kind of brought everything, my vocational path, full circle. Was just kind of noticing that need in the world and maybe how God wanted me to play a part in healing it. And for me, that was the priesthood, and so moved up to St. Paul Seminary in 2015.
I remember it well.
Yeah. And back when Monsignor was our rector, and so now this is my 6th and final year, having been ordained a deacon over the summer, and time flies. Yeah.
And it was amazing. Everybody has a story, and it's a beautiful story. And the things that motivated you, obviously, was prayer and service, and then healing, and it came out in a number of different ways. But that's so essential. The Father here he visits the nursing homes when you could, and
Right.
he goes to the hospitals, and sick calls. So there are many of those, and now with the two parishes, it's increased. But and this past year has been most, how would you say, unusual and need to be created to stay near your people, and then to understand that they're going to have some healing in various ways. They have to, the sick have to be prayed for and helped and stay close to, and then people who are feeling nervous or scared or frightened, they need the calming effect of a person like yourself to just be there for them. And then some people are just almost losing hope with this. So we have to try to rescue them and let them know that God's always with them, and whether it be in suffering or just in the loneliness that they feel, or the fact that everything's unsettled. It's not the world we knew.
Mhm.
But that's where a priest, and especially a diocesan priest, is so important, because you're the father for all of these people. You know, as a deacon, are getting a close experience just by the service you're giving. I'm sure your summer, and you could talk a little bit about that, it was a different summer there too, but it still shows you how the life is of service, and what that means, not only to you as called by God to live this life, but also for people to see that the church and the ministers are there to be Christ for them, and to bring them, keep them close,
Mhm.
and answer the needs that you can, both spiritually and all of this physical suffering that they might have.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I think kind of what most people are feeling right now is a lack of control.
Right.
That no one knows where this is headed. No one knows, what the answer is to heal a pandemic, or what happens. Now we're getting to the election cycle. People are just kind of anxious and wondering what comes next. Is 2020 going to end, and then we'll move on to 2021, and things will be brighter going up. But I think it's important, especially now when we feel out of control, to hang on to placing our hope in the right place. And ultimately, our hope is in Jesus Christ and the promise He's offered us. Right now, I think a lot of people, it seems, are placing their hopes in other places. But I think really the goal of the priest, the goal of the parish, is to refocus us all on where our hope really lies. And
Right, and where the joy of living comes from. And it's
Right.
the Lord Himself that helps you be that joyful Catholic leader that you talk about so much in the seminary these days. But when you said that, it reminded me, and this was ancient history by now, but when I first went to the seminary, among the other experiences, you certainly felt then that you had a lack of control. The first day in, you don't even know where you're going. And now they have this, what would you call it, a kind of extended and helpful in many ways orientation. Well, that developed over the years. When we first went, you got there and you got in line and followed the guy before you. So
Yeah.
and then you really felt out of control, because I remember I thought I was going to the chapel and I followed somebody to the bathroom, and then there's all this until you get down where you're going. So but it's a reminder to us we want to always be in control. That's a natural instinct, but sometimes we just have to put our trust in God.
Yeah.
And I think that if a priest and a deacon can show that to people, that you don't have to be afraid and you don't have to be in control all the time. And the Lord is going to give us what we need, and you can help them do that. And I'm sure that you've had more experience with that even this past year than you've had before.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of speaking of feeling out of control and kind of what happened over the summer, it's obviously from March when COVID started to become a thing in the US, and St. Thomas, where the St. Paul Seminary is located, went to virtual learning, asked students to leave campus. We at SPS, at St. Paul Seminary, were given the option to stay at the seminary, albeit basically cloistered under quarantine.
Yes.
So we weren't able to leave. So for the last 10 weeks of the semester, we were, I could go outside for a walk or to run or something, but I was at the end of the semester and I went to fill my car up with gas. That was the first building that I stepped into for 10 weeks that wasn't the St. Paul Seminary. So it was, it was an interesting experiment, and really, though, had its blessings as well. growing in fraternity and in friendship with other guys there, and also being able to maintain kind of our program of formation and whatnot, albeit through online classes and whatnot. But then obviously that was kind of the semester leading up to my diaconate ordination. So kind of one of the high points of seminary formation. And so there were a lot of unanswered questions of, okay, is my ordination going to stay on track for the summer? What's my summer placement going to look like? What will I even be able to do?
What was it like?
Yeah, so my ordination was small, so but it was also a blessing. So I was able to be ordained at my home parish in Muscatine, which was really nice and special because it's the church that I was baptized in, received First Communion and confirmation in. So to receive holy orders at that same place is really kind of a cool
What's the
thing.
name of your parish?
St. Matthias.
Oh, wonderful. The lot of the Matthias. Yeah, Muscatine. So are you Musketeers if you're from Muscatine?
Well, so I mean, Minnesotans will like this. My high school, Muscatine High School, we're the Muskies.
Muskie.
So not the fish though, even though obviously, that's what everyone thinks, that we're just a musky fish, but named after an Indian tribe that was on the river down there in the Muscatines. But so it was really nice to be able to do that there. But only 4 people could come, so it was only 4 invited guests because they wanted us to keep it to a 10-person maximum, and obviously you have the bishop, myself, a couple priests, and so my parents and then my grandparents were able to be in attendance, and so obviously it would have been nice to have my siblings there and whatnot.
Your mother must have been so proud.
Yeah, no, it was very nice. It was very simple, and in some ways that was also nice. It wasn't, the focus wasn't on anything but the ordination itself, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was the heart of it all.
Yeah. And then for the summer, I was at a parish in my home diocese of Davenport, and so I was at a cluster parish of 3 rural parishes. In the middle of Amish country down there.
Wow.
So 3 parishes spread out over about 15 miles. And so whenever I would drive from one to the next, I'd be passing horse and buggy and all that. And,
my home area, in the Diocese of Allentown, right next towards Harrisburg, the Amish, they were a big population.
Yeah.
And you just have to make sure that you're not driving too fast when you come across those buggies,
Right.
Because those horses can't run as fast as your car.
Right. Yeah. So it was a good place to be. Obviously, coming out here to Maple Lake, it's a little bit of a rural experience. Obviously, I'm from Iowa, so the farms are never far from where you are. But I didn't grow up on a farm, and my upbringing wasn't very rural in that sense either. And so it was kind of good to be out amongst the fields for the summer, and kind of get that typical Iowa experience. And so 3 parishes, each different in their own way, but one priest who just was really enjoyable to be with, and I think he had been feeling the whole COVID-19 thing for a few months. So he enjoyed having someone in the house. He enjoyed the company, so it was, we were limited on what we could do, and I think every priest has felt that in some ways, and trying to be creative in what you do. For the first 3 weeks, we weren't back to public mass yet, and so we were doing a lot of things on Facebook and whatnot, and just kind of seeing how that, obviously you're doing something, and people responded well to whatever we did on Facebook, and we would get quite a few views, and people really, really felt like they were staying connected with the parish, which was great. But there's still something about being church of person-to-person contact.
And then around the altar.
That's right. Yeah. And so we were excited, obviously, when we could get back to public mass. And before I got there, they had decided to go the route of just doing parking lot masses all summer. And so that's what we did. And so a lot of work went into just logistically of getting these implement trailers and building altars on them and this and that. We learned a lot from doing it. It kind of grew week after week. There were a lot of hot, humid summer days.
The air conditioning doesn't work.
Right. So you go back to the sacristy after mass and just be drenched, but it was a good experience.
Well, Father, he tries the parking lot mass here. It was like a drive-in movie. They kept
Right.
coming, you know what I mean? And then Father felt a little bit like Pope John Paul up there. He was up and waving at people and getting them excited. And it was great. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite experience of the summer and being a deacon so far?
Well, so obviously, I think the newest experiences were the celebration of the sacraments. So being able to celebrate a few baptisms and then a wedding and a few funerals, and everything kind of had a little bit of an extra wrinkle this summer because of COVID. And so I think, especially working with a couple couples for a wedding, and obviously when people plan their wedding, they never kind of have a backup plan for if there's a pandemic, and people have an idea of what their wedding's going to be like, and you want to do your best to be able to give that to them in the church if you're able to. And so just I learned a lot from those experiences of how to be pastoral in the sense of walking with people and trying to be as accommodating as we can, but also recognizing the rules that we have to abide by for people's safety. And so I think those were really kind of good opportunities this summer just to
Get a taste of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's as you said, come to the seminary and you're accepted, and it means at least on the surface you have the ability to do it. But in these cases, it's not just a question of ability; you have it, but then it's adaptability.
Yeah.
And you really have to roll with the punches a bit because this is territory you haven't navigated, and most of us haven't.
Right.
But yet, look how so many things worked out. Out here, Father's kept the activities going in both parishes, and it's been exciting. And the number of people in church, the numbers keep growing when they're coming back there. It was almost as if we weren't hit hard at all, even though we were, because people are there praying, and the numbers come, and they just want to be there, So that's a tribute to everybody that's making it work. But it meant getting all kinds of people involved. And that builds community too. I wouldn't want to have that for the reason to build a community, but it certainly helps,
Absolutely. I mean, people stepped up, and people over the summer at the parishes I was at. I mean, you could feel the yearning that they had to get back, and just being able to go to mass itself was such a step of getting back to normalcy. And so it was very edifying to see kind of the role and the place the faith, and especially the celebration of Sunday Mass has in the lives of people. It's not just because when you don't have it, it upends your routine, but actually there's something deeper people want from it.
And it shows you, we read so often, we remember when you're growing up, all of these countries that were in people, Catholics that were in these countries that there was oppression or whatever, and they couldn't have mass or they couldn't have their ministry there, and they were just hungry, remembering what they had, and the joy that they must feel when that turns around and they're able to come back to church.
Right. Yeah.
And so we weren't living under that kind of a regime, but this pandemic made it almost impossible for the country to allow that we just go on with business as usual. And the church was very cooperative and trying their best to keep us very close to the church, but yet respecting what the civil authorities are asking of us, because in these days there's enough upsetment and how would you say civil unrest.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the calming and peaceful approach to it, that's what the Lord would want. So it was a good lesson to us all that sometimes you just have to put your trust in God, and it works out.
Right. Yeah. And obviously we have our work cut out for us too, because I mean I do think, at least my experience of the summer, we had people coming back, but it's a long time, and habits are able to be built up over 6 or 7 months or so, and so there are still plenty of people that we need to be reaching out to, and just, and this is the role not just of the priest or the deacon, but all Catholics to, remember, who are the members of the community that maybe you haven't seen coming to Mass. And obviously you got to respect where people are at right now with it, because there's a lot of concern of getting sick, and rightfully so. But
it also gets the creative juices going, that you find ways, and when you can, you get out to visit those people that haven't seen a priest or a deacon, and it's just to say, we're here for you, and we're looking for the time when we can all be together again. That's good.
Yeah.
So putting us out a little bit here, but you're here in St. Timothy's and St. Ignatius for one more year here, basically, one more academic year. I guess, what are you looking forward to, especially as a deacon, but maybe even just in general, in this year ahead, as far as in both parishes? Any thoughts on maybe what you're looking forward to doing, or in a special way, what you've enjoyed in the past, or with this year ahead, kind of the home stretch before being a priest?
Right. Well, I mean, really, over the last few years of getting to know you out here in Annandale as well, obviously it's just a good group of people, and so it's whenever there's been a parish event, and obviously this year is different maybe, but it's been just a good group of people to be around, and you kind of feel at home, and you feel welcomed, and you feel like people treat you normally, and frankly that's refreshing. And so I very much appreciate that about these two parishes. And so obviously it'll be a blessing and a good thing this year to be able to assist more at Mass. Last 3 years I've kind of felt like a potted plant up on the altar. I just kind of process in and don't do anything.
Big potted plant.
Right. Yeah. But this year, to be able to preach and assist at Mass and whatnot will be, obviously, hopefully a blessing for all of you. But if nothing else, it'll be a good practice and opportunity for me to grow as well. And so looking forward to that.
And as you said, the people here are so inviting. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. And excited to have the priest and the deacons and all involved in their lives.
Yeah.
And they get to know you, and you get to know them, and then you can see how a parish can really grow if there's that unity.
Yeah.
And so this will only give more impetus, because everybody's kind of wanting to get going, get back together.
That's right.
So chafing at the bit, as you were.
Yeah. Actually, just taking a step back, for those who maybe don't know, obviously you're a deacon now, and you'd be a priest this coming spring. Maybe just want to speak to the transitional diacon in general, I guess, or the steps to becoming a priest, in terms of, so people might not know that, okay, we become a priest, you have to be a deacon first, or do you want to just speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, so seminary is typically 6 to 8 years for the diocesan priesthood. And so in my case, it's been 6 years at St. Paul Seminary. And so the first 2 were doing philosophy studies and kind of just learning the ropes of what seminary life and formation are all about. And then for the last 4 years is when you are doing your theology studies. So that is learning more about scripture, church dogma, pastoral kind of applicable thing, just kind of what it takes to be a priest in a sense. And so in those 4 years, you're kind of focusing more concretely on the truths of the faith, and then how you express that. So homiletic classes and things of that nature. At the end of your 5th year, so at the end of your theology 3 year, right prior to your last year of seminary, you ordained a deacon. But obviously it's called the transitional diaconate. So obviously at the parish here, we have Deacon Ron, who's a permanent deacon. And in many ways, the diaconate, as being a part of holy order, so you have diaconate, priesthood, and episcopacy, the bishops, they all are kind of sharing in Christ's own mission to serve us, to bring us closer to God the Father. And so the diaconate is a way of kind of getting closer to that mission of Christ, of becoming closer to Christ through your ordination. And so in many ways, it's one step closer to the altar, where obviously as a priest, you're offering a sacrifice of the Mass at the altar. Well, the deacon in many ways gets to assist the priest in that. And so it really kind of, I would say, began out of a necessity in the early church, where there weren't so many priests, but there were a lot of people that needed served as Christians. And so it sprung out of this need for people to be taught, out of this need for people to receive communion. And so in many ways, that's still the same mission of the deacon, is to make sure people are able to receive communion, are being taught, and to preach the gospel.
It's one of the roles of charity, the corporal works of mercy. That's all wrapped around what it is to be a deacon.
Yeah.
Because you're going out and collaborating with the pastor and to reach these people in all of those settings, and you bring it out of a sense of service. You're there to serve.
That's right.
Great. Maybe just want to share a little bit too, again, for those who may not know, some of the behind the scenes things that you do in both parishes here in terms of like kind of what the point is of you coming out here, and like maybe you're teaching parish committee, you have a committee here, and if you want just for those who, I don't know, maybe don't know or would be interested just to know, like they see you of course on Sundays hopefully, and see you around different events, but what does your life look like in the parishes here?
And there's some young men out there that you would know who should be joining ranks. So
Right.
Let him.
Well, so Chris Yanta from here,
Chris,
he's now at St. Paul Seminary on my floor. So
that's wonderful.
Maple Lakes represented.
Keep them in line.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Eli, who's the other one? Alex. And they're at SJV.
Yep.
So they're three and more in the making.
Right.
And you're the kind of man that we're going to look to spark that up a bit. This year before you head back to Davenport, you could get 2 more men into the seminary.
Right.
No pressure.
Right.
No pressure.
Right. Let's see what I can do. So the teaching parish program is really, I think, geared towards, obviously we spend a lot of time at the seminary in the classroom and in formation, and it can kind of become, in a certain sense, a bubble of, okay, how is this, what am I learning or doing here connected to what I'll, God willing, be doing the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And so the teaching parish is designed to help us even now to get a little bit of taste of what parish life is like on a regular basis. And then taking some of the tools we learn at seminary and trying to apply them even now. And so, like Father mentioned, my teaching parish committee, so I meet with 4 couples from St. Timothy's, and we discuss different topics. It's a good opportunity for me to learn, kind of where average parishioners are at on issues, or what's the role that the parish plays in their life, and so to kind of get the inside scoop of what's happening in the hearts and minds of parishioners. So that's huge, just to try and keep you grounded and keep you focused on what a priest needs to be for his people. And then obviously over the years, it's just, they kind of break it down into all these different tasks and duties that a priest will do, and trying to get your feet a little bit wet in those as you can. And so the first year was really kind of focused on just meeting people, going to parish events. And then we moved on to visiting homebound parishioners or parishioners in nursing homes, which I did my second year, and teaching religious education, being involved in our CIA classes, things of that. And obviously that's a good opportunity to take kind of what you're learning in a theology class and bringing it to the real world.
And also finding a language
that's right,
that people can understand readily.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's good, and it does. And the other thing which we've learned more and more, and all of us, is that when you're there and both as the priest, because there's so many things on people's mind, especially about the life of the church and about their trying to come closer to the Lord. It's an art, and I say this because I have to always remind myself that yes, you have a teaching role, but sometimes you have a listening role.
Yeah. And
it's so important to get, well, you said, a feel for the pulse of the place, that you don't have any predispositions or ideas of what it's all about until you just hear.
Yeah.
And because people are coming at that from different experiences, so it's good to know that before you kind of quickly make a judgment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding this year is you're going to focus, obviously you're focused on all the above as well as preaching and some of the sacraments, but also administration too, like attending some of those.
Yeah, just trying to get to know some of the different ministries within the parish as far as finance, parish council, parish leadership opportunities, just so, next year at this time, God willing, I'll be in a parish and, having kind of a more official role in trying to lead those things. And so getting to know, obviously, the amount of work that the lay faithful do for those missions are huge. And so learning more kind of how it all works.
And people are so helpful. They're eager to be a part of that.
Right.
And they're looking for you to allow them to give you their ideas, because they're very creative. And plus, they know the territory and they've been around a while. And if you're going to get any kind of thing help financially or otherwise, you have to have them excited about it, because emails are good, but there's nothing like an in-person encounter, and at least to get things organized, because they see the face, and they see the person and the heart, they feel the heart.
We're kind of coming close to our end of a time here, so I'm not sure if either of you have any thoughts either about formation, seminary life, being a deacon. I guess anything I didn't ask about, or anything you want to talk about or check in about before we wrap
Well, I
up
have
here.
to say for Andrew and when I was at the seminary, and this is my 15th year somehow involved in seminary work out here, but I started there when I was 58, and they thought I was old then, but they had no idea how long they're going to have to put up with me. But the idea was, I to this day thank God for that experience, because seeing these young men with the enthusiasm, and it was to the man, not all went on to be priests because they discerned that God was calling them elsewhere, but they all had this eagerness and excitement and desire to serve the church and to serve the Lord in the best way they can. And it was moving, because, after a number of years, you kind of forget about the excitement you had yourself when you first started. So that was what was great. And we had good numbers, we had a good camaraderie, and between that and the college seminary, we always had some excitement, which made it all the more so. But it was a real vibrant community. That's the way I saw it, and it was only getting better by time, because we all, the church learns, and we learn new ways to do it, and every time we talk about formation, that's an ongoing process too. You don't form people like you did 20 years ago. The essentials are there, but yet you need other new ways to help new men to get new ideas and new enthusiasm. So,
Right.
But I have to say, Father, you were one of the first one. Your group was some of the first ones I felt like, I always said going to the seminary for me was like going to heaven without the inconvenience of dying. So, and it's been great. And Andrew, he was always smiling. I never remember a meeting that he didn't smile.
Well, now you'll never know if I'm smiling now, because we're wearing masks all the time.
Oh, but I can kind of sense it. and then he was one of those athletic and weightlifters and all, like, so I was very careful not to get into a fight. I wanted him as a bodyguard, but not
Yeah, no, so I mean, I guess just now that I have a mission of recruiting 2 guys this year, I guess I'll just kind of give the plug, if any young guys are out there listening, of that, seminary is a place where you grow, and it's not necessarily a place you go and you're automatically, signing up to be a priest. It's a place where you go to come to know the Lord more, to come to know the church more, and to come to know yourself, frankly, more. And so it's really a place where you can grow as a man and grow as a man in Christ. And so through a lot of different opportunities, the seminary has helped me in that pursuit. And so it's a wonderful place. And obviously, Father Meyer has my number, my email. And if any guys have questions about what seminary is like, or about discerning a call to the priesthood or religious life, that's something I would be more than happy to walk with you on. And so just offer that.
That's great. And what, Father, we were talking about this before, and between old men and young men, the Gospels talk about they have dreams and visions, and we always close with a prayer, which is a song, and every time it's a little different. But I thought, if you can find it there, we sing it. We did sing it sometimes in the seminary. Be thou my vision.
Oh yeah.
And that's since you're just getting into it now, and there's a lot of visions.
thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, behold, but brought to me, save that thou art. Ye have my best thought in the day and the night. Waking and sleeping, thy presence, my life. Be thou my wisdom, be thou my truth, be however with me, and I with thee, Lord. Be thou my great Father, and I true Son. Be thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Oh,